parties. Nancy, in a second. Yes. Okay, we're recording.
All right, I'd like to call to order the March 30th, 2023 school board meeting, Mercedes 60. Let's start out by saying the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now our Vice Chair, Elva Lovejoy, is going to talk about rules for public input.
The first public input session is a 21-minute session with each person having no longer than 3 minutes in which to make a statement. The second public input session may be held at the end of the meeting if allowed by the board chair. The speaker will give his or her name, address, and reason for speaking. Public input is designated for district residents, but the board chair may grant non-residents the opportunity to address the board. Statements concerning subject matter that falls under the law regarding executive session, for example, matters involving personnel, cannot be made during public input. We as a community pledge to treat each other as we wish to be treated. We pledge to seek understanding when there may be disagreement. Regardless of outcomes or opinions, we pledge to move forward with respect.
Thank you, Elva. Well, it doesn't appear we have anybody for public input. So we'll move on to approving the minutes of March 16th.
The paragraph with the seniors, student report. I'm reading it and I'm making sure, because I've done this a few times, but that should be they maybe. Plans for next year, whether they will be attending college.
Okay, we'll address that.
Two paragraphs above the list of the Fall State champs should have been a part of both state championship league. Just 2 words there instead of a part. And then superintendent update. All district chorus concert was held last Wednesday evening. First time since we had the concerns with COVID. I don't know what it should be, but I just know the sentence isn't right.
Okay.
Probably since we had the concerns with COVID, I think would fix it if you add the word had.
Okay.
And then the bus driver that was in the accident. It's hanging sentence. I didn't know if it should be like the bus driver that was in the accident with a colon, or I don't know. Otherwise, they were fabulous.
Any other comments? Okay, then could I get a motion to accept as amended March 16th?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
So,
All those in favor? And motion is passed.
and everything.
So now we're moving on to our student reports. So Echo, what do you have? What great news do you have to share this?
I don't have much this week, but if you look out in the courtyard, you can see the first fire. But and on that topic, classes have begun taking walks outside, which is a nice gesture to uplift the spirits of both teachers and students. That's all.
Did you guys transplant that tree somewhere?
No,
No.
it's in the woods.
said we moved. I don't think they could actually transplant it.
Yeah, because we had to take it out.
Pieces. Can you glue it back together?
Thank you, Echo.
One quick question, are those walks outside as classrooms or just people are just walking outside?
Classrooms, organized.
Are actually, the classes are actually.
Okay, so now we're looking to adopt the budget for the FY24 district.
So before we do that, I'm going to hand out a packet. So each packet has a paper clip. So take the paper clip packet, but there are 3 documents in the packet. So there is the new, 279, and we'll walk through that. And then, so that's 6 pages. And then after that, there is the new fund balance sheet because it's impacted by the 279, and then the new revenue sheet. So we'll give you a moment to make sure that those go in your binders, and then we will start discussion of information we received on Tuesday.
And you'll get a full updated packet next week. Once we finalize that number and it goes through and I'll give you a full.
I think we'll just start with a quick overview. Last week, the object of tonight was going to be to approve the budget, but we got some good news, but it happened on Tuesday. So we need to spend just a little bit of time talking about and updating you on that information. And then we can move to having the discussion about the budget. So Tuesday afternoon around 3:30, we received word that the 279, which was the 6-page document, was going to be adjusted due to a closer look at the mill rate. So the mill rate was changed from 7.29 to 6.97. So that was one thing. And again, that was due to a state error. So as they keep going through the documents, they noticed that there was an error with that. So that gave us, to our district, out of that 1.5 million subsidy loss that we had, that gave us a positive of $721,984 with just that mill rate, that change in the mill rate.
So we're not losing.
Not losing 1.5 million.
We're losing
So
money.
there's a
A little
little,
over $500,000.
yeah,
I was like, we gained
That we gained, we said we're not
overall,
losing
or we
anything.
only,
Hold on,
yeah,
there's one more thing.
yeah. So then, in addition to that, our special ed numbers were looked at again, and they gave us credit for 20 students that were transitioned in from child development services into kindergarten from child development services. So that gave us an additional $256,755. So the total amount that has been adjusted for our district was $978,739. which means that instead of losing the 1.5 million, it's 564,785 that we lost.
Minus, so we still lost some, just not one.
Right, just not the 1.5. Yes.
What's the loss now? I'm sorry, I missed the last number.
Total loss.
The total loss, 564,785.
Thank you.
So that is why you have a new updated 279 sheet. It shows the mill rate change and it shows the number, I believe, on what, page 3. So the special education section is up there at the 6.3. It's the second line. And then the overall adjustment, where did I put that? It's on page 5 of 6. The 21,112,230. So that impacts us in a more positive way than some other districts may have fared. And what we'll do now is we're going to just talk about, and then we'll have a time to discuss. We're going to just talk about how it makes, just one suggestion for how to use this money, primarily to help us as we look at fund balance, because that was a big concern that we had going into the next fiscal year. So why don't you want to go to fund balance, or what do we want to do? Fund balance or
Let's
revenue?
take a look at the revenue and then we
Okay.
can, concession maybe.
So the revenue sheet is tab 22, but I'm also going to hand out a similar sheet to, this is a discussion point that we shared last week. So. Okay, so we'll do this and then we'll jump right into the revenue sheet. So last week when we discussed this, we had this part at the top with different percentages, and at the bottom, we listed those areas that we responsibly felt like we could cut. So with the adjusted numbers on the 279, it would be a minus 0.40 decrease to expenditures, a 6.10 projected increase to the school budget, with a 4.90 to taxpayers after our school nutrition and adult ed reductions. And so the impact to the taxpayer has been adjusted about by $9, give or take. So Berwick would go to 42.27 per $100,000 house. North Berwick would be at 45.66 and Lebanon would be at 54.33.
Sorry, these numbers went up or down from last
Down.
week? That's what I thought.
By about $9.
And we had the, last week ago, it was at 5.72 that we got it down below. I'm trying to go below that. I'm gonna give it back.
So if you look at tab 22, that is the revenue sheet. And so you can see the the numbers for 2022, 23, and then the proposed 23, 24. So you see the minus 0.40, and then the decrease in local taxes, which would be the projected increase, to taxes would be 6.10, and then the actual to taxpayer would be 4.90. So that as it stands right now brings us to where we were last year when we went out to vote. It was 4.91.
Which is down from the 6.9
So they,
or whatever it was.
the.
And I apologize, I didn't bring my binder.
693 last week, so we brought it down to 610.
Okay,
And then the bottom line was 572, I believe, last week, and down to 49.
okay.
One of the things that it did, is we had originally put in 1,680,000 to use for fund balance. And I cut that down to 1,080,000. So what that does is that gives us another 600,000 to have in our fund balance for our difficult 25 budget, which again, will be the budget after all of our COVID funds are gone. So that will leave us, again, 1.5 million approximately. Which was, a concern. It was mentioned, you mentioned it last week, and I'm with you.
So that's already reflected in those percentages.
Yeah, so if you look at those two fund balance lines, 582 and 497, the total comes to 1,080,000. Which again is 600 less to use. Because we were able to increase that subsidy line, the 21 million.
What are you thinking, Travis?
I'm waiting until discussion. Ready to go in there?
I think so.
Yeah, this was our suggestion.
And it's 720, just.
Right, to keep us thinking.
I can also switch to remote.
Okay.
So I was just having a discussion with Denise. My concern is, I think we've done a great job, but at some point, we're gonna get a 10% increase in our budget, because at some point, we're gonna have to absorb everything that we've got set aside in our grants, all the other increases that are there. I mean, we dropped our expenditures -0.04. And I was just telling her, when I got on the board, the school budget was the highest impact on your tax dollar. The last 3 years in Berwick, the municipality has been the highest impact on your tax dollar.
So what are you suggesting?
Well, I can't suggest anything. We're already at the point where I think we're ready to go with it, but I think I'm concerned that we're cutting too much.
So, and I agree with that. And I'm just still not 100% sure that I'm looking at apples and apples, so correct me if I'm wrong, but so that 900,000 that we just got back, we put towards the fund balance and other calculations.
The
Is
whole
there
thing
some?
went to the fund balance?
No,
No.
but if there's some portion, I guess what I'm wondering is if a week ago or 2 weeks ago, the board did with a 6.9, can we take a portion of what we just got back and apply it to some of the expenses that we had to cut out and keep the increase? Look, I'm sorry if I'm not saying this correctly, but keep the increase the way to the amount that we had all agreed last week.
The 5.7.
comfortable with. So basically take some of that money that we're getting back, I think is what you're saying, try to knock a couple of things off of the list that we cut that we are pretty sure are going to come back next year. Like they're not going to go away
Well,
without redoing the whole process.
except that a lot of those cuts we made were due to attrition or due to
Yeah.
program changes or
But not
shifting
some of the
focus.
but some of the capital ones are going to have to get done.
You're right. I think from what Denise was just explaining to me, I think the admin has done a good job of trying to reallocate some of their expenditures. You know, one of the things that we've done is we've increased class sizes. I think she said the numbers were like 16 to 20, depending on what grade you were in.
There were a couple of
Right.
grades that were hit more than the others.
Correct, but so that's okay.
Yep.
But we keep robbing Peter to pay Paul
Yep.
too much.
Right.
At some point, we're gonna get hit with a budget
Yeah.
that's gonna be astronomically high, and we're not gonna have a choice but to accept it or start cutting a lot of people. And maybe we'll keep trending in the direction that we have in the last couple of years with our enrollment numbers. But me personally, I don't see how we've even trend to that direction now?
The amount the amount we would either add to expense or eliminate from fund balance, because that's always the other option, is 178,000. That would bring us to a negative 0.01 increase to or decrease to expenditures, a 6.93% to the school budget, and a 572, which is the overall, which are the numbers we presented last week. The expenses differ, but the 178 is the amount of money we'll be talking to get to that.
Or there's some things that we want to put back in. I know the point was to finalize this tonight. I'm gonna drop that there and then I'll leave.
I think the one thing that we did talk about was the literacy coach. I think that was one of the things that people were most concerned about, even though people felt that they had it covered.
That and the 5K to 5 teachers. What would it do to class sizes and how helpful would it be to get one or two of those back, or is it needed, or I don't know, but no, Denise, that's a good question. And are you sure you have to leave? Because I feel like tonight you've asked everything that I've thought and wanted to ask, so.
So I can go?
Exactly. No, I mean, in general, like off the.
I guess what I would, my contribution about K-5 teachers is we've tried to get all of the schools in a similar place, so a comparable class size. 178,000 could be 2 teachers maybe. So I don't know if there's a way we could incorporate 2 positions and still have equity in class sizes. I guess that would be my thought about that.
Were there any significant one-time purchases that we cut out that we were like,
Well, Kevin's infield groomer.
well,
Been
right. Yeah, others, their suggestions.
Let's see.
Maybe we do just put it towards the fund balance. And
I just wonder if we can just cut that amount in half and apply half of it to whatever you want to apply it to, fund balance, whatever, and take the other half and bring it a percent down.
So a little less, not the 4.9, but more like a 5 point.
Let's see what that
That's
does.
kind of what I was thinking before we.
So,
If you want to put it all in fund balance, you can put some of it in fund balance and just, I don't know.
so that's what, 89,000?
I just know that there's a lot of money, and I don't have the numbers, but I know that there's a lot of money that we got sitting in that grant that we're gonna have to absorb next year. Or we have to eliminate. Like, we have to decide whether we're
Some
gonna
of the things in
carry
that
that stuff
grant,
forward, or it's,
some of the things in the grants are things that will sunset, they will, but not all. There's quite a few things in there that we will need to be like really thoughtful about whether or not we continue the program or we don't continue the program. So that's real.
And it's a good opportunity to look at. those.
Yeah, evaluate and make
Yeah.
decisions and make sure that they're right.
So what am I forget, I don't know.
Yeah.
What- I said it was 89,000, we want to add expenses.
Oh, I was thinking of the 970,000 total that we got more from the state.
Yeah, that's what we.
Take half of that and
Well, we already did take the million and apply it towards reducing
Fund
so
but that was already in.
So 600,000 I took out of fund balance use. So of that increase, I let the state pay 600,000 and I reduced the fund balance use by 600,000.
I thought you said you put some of the money into the fund balance.
I reduced the fund balance. I reduced the use of it in the budget so that it would stay in the bucket for the next budget. So instead of having 941,000 for use, and we try not to go below 750, 500 to 750. There'll be 1.5 million in that bucket for use against next year when we have all of these positions coming back in, potentially.
I mean, if you want to put it all there, doesn't matter to me where you put it personally, just my thought. But I don't know, I think some of it should go to reduce the tax percentage.
But didn't that already happen?
It's already happened.
Yeah. We've
All
already
of it,
reduced
most of
it.
it went to reducing taxes. So are you saying to go up above the 4.9?
Well, go down.
So somewhere in between, you're looking at somewhere in between the 4.9 and the 5.72, which is what I think that,
Yeah, I'm just,
half of the 178 came in. Right, so it's like,
But I don't know why it'd be half of 178.
Well-
I'm not getting the numbers. I don't, my
I was
daughter,
thinking half of the 978.
yeah, I know, and that's it, and we
And
were thinking
I was
about.
thinking the difference to get us back to where we were last week is 178,000.
So
more
between
in
four
expense.
point nine and 5.72 is 178,000. I think
I got you.
that was my half a brain. That was what I was thinking about.
Right, and I keep looking at the 6.10 and the.
And I'm looking at the 970.
Yeah, I know.
No, I mean,
And the reality is, to be honest with you, it's pretty out there that this money came back. Like it's definitely
Been on
out
the
there.
news.
Yeah, it's on the news and people know that we've had some funds that have come back to us, and if you can clearly go in and look and see how much we have. So we do want to do our due diligence and try to get some of it. Like, I mean, I feel like we've done a great job of getting our percentages down. But
All our increases at point.
It would be-
0.4.
yeah, it would be, we could say we're doing even a little more by giving back to, and 4.9 maybe is too low, so 5.2, I don't know. Think about that.
I'm still not understanding how you did the fund balance. Because half of 970 is gonna be,
So there were other things. So you'll notice that the expenses went down by 0.4. Last week, they were 0.82 as we were finalizing numbers. So I've been dealing with lots of estimates over the last few weeks.
okay.
There were some more expenses that we had to account for. And so that went down. So it went down from decreasing by 0.82 or 0.84. I don't remember what the number was, to 0.4. So some of that 978 went to expenses. The rest of it I put into fund balance to save the district money for that next year.
So, I mean, if we do keep it in the fund balance, then we have it for next year to offset some of those.
Yep, so if I,
I think if it's out there, and we don't reduce that down, we're gonna.
Well, the hard thing is, people don't really know
No,
where
if
we're
they
at.
know if this latest bunch of money that.
No, we did already use it with this latest.
There's no, we haven't put out to anybody that we were getting to the 5.72 yet. No, the only people that we've even talked about is
One person was in the
in the
audience.
audience,
last
and then our town managers have been chasing us down a little bit, which is fair. You know, they've been asking, and we've been honest about where we're at. So those are but the information is out there, so we just want to make sure that we're doing our best to be, I love that
In my
word.
opinion, we've made a lot of cuts.
Yeah.
And having a little bit come back, you know, readjusted what our starting position should have been,
Mhm.
and we wouldn't
We addressed it.
cut so much. But that's, I mean, my fear is the same as Travis, which is just, you know, those were a lot of cuts and a lot of positions this year, which maybe we'll be able to come right forward, but there's just a lot of stuff that we're not doing right now.
See, I see them. I mean, I know they were lost positions, but for a lot of them, I saw them as moving programs in different directions.
Yeah.
Listing, you know,
Yeah.
and so I mean, and no one was losing their job. I mean, this was attrition and whatever, that was how. So,
Didn't you think we added positions back? We might have that balance of equity.
that's a concern I would have. We'd have to look at that very closely.
Yes.
My favorite topic, we still don't have insurance, right? I can't
April
come to a
7th.
meeting without an
April
application.
7th this year.
They just don't.
I know.
Insurance company, and the printing company should get together and got a calendar.
No kidding.
I agree.
I think you guys have done a great job of putting the pencil to the paper and cutting things and trying to save as much as we can. I feel like I've repeated this the last 2 or 3 years. It's gonna come to a head. You can't keep cutting at some point. It's gonna come to a head at some point as a district. And we as a board need to understand that. At some time, we're gonna have to pay up. Or be really, I don't think we have much even, I didn't think we had much wiggle room last year.
Yeah.
I really don't think we have much wiggle room this year.
Instead of looking at the percent so much as the dollars, what would happen if we said increase for the individual taxpayer, just add $5 onto each of them? What would that change the percent to?
That's probably really.
I don't know how to-
Laid out.
I don't know how to
Backwards math,
do
yeah.
tax reverse
Yeah,
math.
yeah.
How do you do that backwards?
A lot of algebra.
Let's see, what if we?
Last week's numbers?
Yeah,
Figure it out if that's halfway
my guess is it's like a.
between.
I have confidence that if Denise can come up with a negative 40% decrease to expenditures, she can figure out some reverse math in the other direction.
Yes,
So I'm thinking of-
yes. So what was the number?
Last week.
No, that's last year. Nope, this, when you handed out tonight, Berwick, what was the number?
4227.
So 4678, which is $4.50, would be adding that 89,000 back to expenses. That makes sense.
Okay, and then, so then that translates into the percentage.
That goes to 652 for the schools and 531 bottom line.
I just wanted to see it that way around because for, when I'm looking at it myself, trying to do the balance and I'm saying, well, $5 more isn't, when you're already doing this increase, another 5, and then it hopefully won't hurt us as much. I mean, it's not doing exactly what you want, but at least it's something in that direction because we still have to balance it. Yeah.
Would you add expense or would you add, reduce the use of fund balance to save for another day?
I'd put it in your fund balance and then you have more flexibility, don't you, to use it if something comes
Yeah,
up. in
so
the year.
it gets us to offset
Yeah.
the budget really.
And we've had some for another year if we don't use it.
So it's taxpayer
We're
money that
kind of
comes
down
in.
there.
We're not allowed to hold too much of it.
Right.
And we usually use it to, again, to bring these numbers.
I'm comfortable if that's where we want to put it.
So let me just make sure.
Because I
that's
think,
where
like, my
it's-
concern is next year or the year. Like, I do think we've come up with a good budget for this year, but
I'm worried about it too, in the sense that what happens when people actually start asking for things? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm even more scared when we finally figure out what's going on with Lebanon Elementary
I
School.
mean, exactly.
So if I keep the expenses at a decrease of 0.4% and I reduce fund balance usage in the revenue by that 89,000, it brings the school increase to 6.52%. And after school nutrition and adult ed, it brings it to 5.31%. That looks at ballpark estimate, 4678 per $100,000 in Berwick, 5855 per 100,000 in Lebanon, and 4886 in
What?
North.
Oh, sorry, I was going in the
Two
other.
another
I was
one.
wondering-
I know.
I feel negative.
Oh, that's fine.
Lemon votes it in.
48, 80 minutes. Didn't get the tail, it's 58.
Can you say those again?
Yeah,
Thank you.
Berwick, 46.78. Lebanon, 58.55. And North Berwick, 48.86. That brings us to -0.4 for school expenditures, 6.52 for the overall school budget, and 5.31 to taxpayers after school nutrition and adult education.
Sorry, can I ask you a math question? Is negative point, if I'm really stuck on that first line. Is negative 0.4 decrease, is that not an increase?
That's a decrease to overall, it's like we cut our expenses by a
But
couple.
negative
0.4%.
decrease is not a positive.
No, it's.
No,
we're-
I'm saying we decreased our expenses by 0.4, which is approximately 100 and shy of 200,000
From what we
Got it.
from last year.
So
45,419 last year, 45,237.
Eliminate from it, that we were able to note that.
So are we gonna be able to vote on this tonight?
Yeah,
Oh, but
Yeah, we have to.
So decide which direction you want to do it.
Yeah.
We have provided with you with some options. You can like we can do the 4.9, which we shared. You can do the 5.31. You can do the 5.17.
I like the 5.31.
yeah, I could live with that.
It's the taxpayers used for that number 5. Or so the next raise won't seem that bad, but it's still not that much more than last year. I think, look at it that way. I think it's a good compromise.
And what does that add to the fund balance? Or what does that not, or whatever?
Takes away another extra 89,000 off what you got.
Okay.
I have so many tabs open.
And that
I know, I know.
89,000 we're saying goes back to the taxpayers as opposed to.
So in,
No,
No, it goes into the
No.
fund balance.
goes into the fund balance.
And then that other 80, we have
Yeah,
59.
that's what I'm saying.
Right, yeah.
Half of that goes to the taxpayers, half of it goes to. Okay.
so that brings our anticipated fund balance, if with that $89,000 extra being saved, 1.63 million for that will anticipated sitting in our fund balance to use when we do this again next year.
So what happens if we, at the end of this year, we don't hit the 45,419?
Anything we have
43,
anything under, so I can't go a penny over.
correct?
Anything under also gets added to this fund balance. So whatever, however we end fiscal 23, if I am $300,000 to the good underspent, I would add it to this and we'd have 1.9. So whatever we are able to do that way will also get added. This, so
Are you able to make a guess on that at this point in the year?
still hard because so much goes on in the spring.
Well, and there's a chance that we can utilize some of that money potentially for capital projects that we need to get done, but can't get done.
Potentially.
If we have,
Yeah.
if we have.
Yes. I know that this coming summer, which is fiscal 24, the summer, July and August of 23, Kevin is going to be heavily focused on the big HVAC projects going on and the energy savings that will be, I think those happen on the front end too. So while he has projects that he would like to include it, I think there is some sense of relief that he can focus on these big projects that are going on and not lots of minutia. But this spring, potentially, but the problem with that is that school gets out so late this year. For maintenance stuff, there's not a lot of time to get those
Or July
done.
1, right?
Get the bills
5 days.
before-
Yeah.
Get the bills in before they do the work.
Well,
That's not how it works.
it doesn't work that way.
People say that, yeah.
It doesn't work that way when you follow the rules. And
The auditor will be in next week.
Yeah.
I know.
So I'll make a motion to adopt the 5.31.
Yeah, so we just need a little more specific in it. So
Let me make sure it's still.
So what you're gonna be, the motion would be to approve the FY 24 school budget of,
What do you got?
I have 45, 237, 883. That's what I have. 45,237,883. And the local share,
Slow.
Say it again.
It's, that's the cost of taxpayers is.
Expenditures didn't change.
I'll let you ask.
45.
We'll read it.
Okay, hold on, I'll read it to you. Ready?
We'll read it again.
Okay, so the motion would be to approve the FY 24 school budget of $45,237,883 with the local share of $22,724,136. We don't put the percentages in there, so.
So I make that motion because I don't have a pen to cross out the 725,
Right.
724.
Right. Okay, I have it fixed here. So do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? All those.
No, I'm just, we're throwing out so many numbers right now. I'm not sure where we are, so I can't vote for it. So
So we're at the 5.31
5
taxpayers. Yep.
Okay. To the taxpayers.
Yeah. And the total local share is 22,724,136.
And did you get the Lebanon new rate, the 58,
I
58.55?
58, 55.
Yep.
Thought I had, but it's on the other side.
There is a lot going on for sure.
Yeah. And the Berwick portion would be for the 100.
46.78,
Thank you.
North Berwick 48.86.
Numbers in your head.
This earlier than last year. Remember one year it was in the summer?
We are,
Do we know
So
it's gonna happen in the summer again?
in theory, we were coming in here today with a fixed budget. And you guys were gonna say, we talked about this last week. This is where it is. Yes, I'm good with that. Here we go.
Yeah.
The trouble was at 4:30 on Tuesday afternoon, they released this information and trying to pull
Oh, that's right.
everything through. The other thing that, that's complicated is we've had a lot of numbers that are in motion in the budget this year because of negotiations and things like that. So trying to pull all of that information through to get to a number has been
challenging.
challenging.
All of that's in here now.
It's all in there now.
Is that, do we need to vote on the other two?
We do, but we still, did we get a, that was fully approved?
Well, we,
The only thing you have to do is you have to either ask for opposed. which
Well, Victoria, yeah, did you?
She can either oppose or she can abstain. Because we've already voted.
Well, if it were right now, I would say to oppose it for me.
Okay,
But I think I'm the only one, so.
that's okay.
Yeah.
I have to note that.
so the motion is passed with one opposed vote.
Okay, so now it is the adult education budget. Okay, and this motion is whoever chooses to
90,000, right?
This one is to approve the FY 24 adult education budget of 295,592 with a local share of 90,265. Still accurate? Okay, yes.
Do you have a motion to accept the FY 24 adult ed budget?
Whichever.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
Ms. Lipscomb.
And all those in favor? Motion is passed. And the next item is the board adoption of budget FY 24 school nutrition.
So
This
this one is,
does not give you a budget for school nutrition. All it asks for is the local the local share. So.
yeah, so it's to approve the FY 24 school nutrition program budget with a local share of $0. Because we're not asking for anything from our locals.
There's enough in that fund balance for the year.
Do you have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second it.
All right.
All those in favor? Opposed?
Okay.
Motion is passed.
Okay. Now you can run away.
Thank you. You need to go on vacation.
Yeah.
I do have a quick other before I go. Rachel Pelletier had asked if I would be one of the judges in the upcoming,
The bus rodeo?
I call it the bus festival, the
Yeah,
bus
bus rodeo,
rodeo,
yes.
which, after a number of years of not being able to do it, I'm very excited to, so I think that is in 2 weeks and I don't know if anyone else.
Yes,
is doing it,
it's
so
during April vacation, I
it is,
think.
it's a Tuesday for April vacation, so I'll report back unless anyone else is going to be there also, but, I guess they'd like to have a board.
They do, I love it.
So I'm very excited to finally be able to do it.
Awesome.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you for
Thank
staying
you.
over 7:30.
Yeah.
Thank you, Denise. Have a good week. Do you have any other?
Just remember your audit packets for next week. That would be a request.
So just to summarize, this week, we're signing documents. We're doing, we have the audit presentation. We have, representatives from the Costa Rica trip coming in the Quebec trip, Costa Rica's in process. And then we have in elementary Odyssey of the Mind team coming in because they have received a blue ribbon.
Oh,
So they will be in to talk about their experience. So that's nice. We'll get those, the students in first, and then we'll move right on to the audit and then the signing.
Are we signing the documents that we just did tonight?
And do they do them here? They're doing them in person?
I think so. We'll do them in person.
Like, can I do it before or after?
Yeah, because I
Nancy
can't
has-
be here.
I'm working, I worked yesterday, so I'm working tomorrow. next Thursday.
So we will,
It'll be remote, but I won't be able to sign anything.
Let's check in with those documents.
Okay.
yeah, we'll
We'll
check
check
with
it
the
out.
attorneys and
Right.
hear what they,
What they
Want us to-
recommend. Yep.
I mean, I could do either before or after.
Okay, sure.
but I won't be able to be here.
Okay.
sounds good.
We voted on it, we kind of have to sign for it now.
Right.
Okay.
So are you gonna let?
We'll let you know. Yes, thank you.
so if there's no other, we have a motion to adjourn.
To adjourn.
Second.
Right.
All those in
Thank you,
favor?
guys.
Thank you.
Motion is passed.
It was a lot of work. Thank you for your time. Yeah,
Who would think that getting money
I know.
would give you
I know.
more work?
All right.
We've had it all.
I'm gonna start recording.